Hello, everyone, and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from New York City. I'm Susan Tehrani, and these are the top headlines this hour. Well, it's day 3 of voting today to elect a speaker to the U.S. House of Representatives. No headway in 6 rounds held so far, with 20 conservatives from the Freedom Caucus blocking Kevin McCarthy's bid to the post. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's willing to talk if Ukraine respects present territory status, as Russian spiritual leader Patriarch Kirill calls truce for Orthodox Christmas on the 6th and 7th of January. Meanwhile, Iran frees top actor Taraneh Alidoosti, who was jailed for criticizing the crackdown on anti-government protests. Reports citing her lawyer saying she has been released on bail. U.S. social media giant Meta has been slapped with $413 million in fines for breaching EU personal data laws on Facebook and Instagram. Ireland's data regulators say that Meta breached, quote, its obligations in relation to transparency. And Pope Francis presides over ceremonies at the Vatican as 50,000 mourners bid farewell to former Pope Benedict XVI. For the first time in 100 years, the U.S. House Speaker's seat is empty after 6 rounds of voting in the last 2 days. The House is going to convene again on Thursday at noon in Washington, D.C. Will the third day be a charm, or will the stalemate continue? Here's VOA's report by Jessica Stone from Washington, D.C.
Hello from Washington. Well, 2023 is beginning with the House of Representatives absolutely paralyzed. Until they vote on a speaker, they can't even swear in the newly elected members of Congress. California Republican Kevin McCarthy has, of course, made it very clear he wants this job. It is a powerful position that is second in line to the president and sets the agenda for what policies make it to a vote in the House and which do not. Going into the vote for Speaker on Tuesday, McCarthy was behaving as if he had the role. He announced House Republican priorities, for example, and even moved into the Speaker's office. But McCarthy needs 218 votes to become Speaker, and members of his own party repeatedly mutinied to deny him the post. Out of 20 members who did not support him on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds of voting, 12 deny that Joe Biden even won the 2020 presidential election. I want to have you listen now to the rhetoric occurring on the House floor during debate. I'll begin by giving you a soundbite from an opponent of Kevin McCarthy, followed by a supporter.
We have said we're not going to take any more of Washington being broken. We're going to do something for the American people, and we're going to fix it. And is it going to be painful? And is it going to be difficult? Yeah, it probably is. That's why it took 100 years.
To all Americans watching right now, I want to tell you that we hear you. We hear you. And we will get this right. No matter how messy this process is, we will emerge better for having been through this. Because nothing great ever comes easy.
Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is drawing a contrast between the Republican disunity on Capitol Hill and his own brand of bipartisan governing. He spent Wednesday in Kentucky announcing a bridge project side by side with leading Republicans such as Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell, who represents Kentucky, and governors from both parties of neighboring states. Biden is also planning to make a speech on Friday, marking the 2nd anniversary of the attack on the Capitol building. We expect to hear him remind Americans about the importance of democracy. Late Wednesday, the House decided to adjourn and return to another round of votes at noon on Thursday. Jessica Stone, VOA News, Washington.
Moves are afoot for Russia to wind down on the war in Ukraine, even as fierce fighting continued today. The Turkish president pressed his Russian counterpart for, quote, a unilateral ceasefire in Ukraine. This, as the patriarch of Russia called for a 2-day truce. Putin told Turkish leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan that he was open to dialogue with Ukraine if Kyiv accepts territories occupied by Moscow as Russian territories. This is not the first time, however. In the past, Ukraine has dismissed these demands of Russia, saying it will not give up an inch of its land. Erdogan's call for a unilateral ceasefire followed a proposal earlier Thursday by Russia's spiritual leader, Patriarch Kirill, for an Orthodox Christmas truce this week. Many Orthodox Christians, including those living in Russia and Ukraine, celebrate Christmas on January 6th and 7th. Kyiv, however, has dismissed the proposal as cynical or a cynical trap. A senior aide to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky cast the Russian Orthodox Church as war propagandists. The Russian Orthodox Church is by far the biggest of the churches in the Eastern Orthodox Communion. There are about 100 million followers within Russia and more outside. Well, Iran has released prominent actor Taraneh Alidoosti. This is according to reports after she was arrested for expressing support to the anti-government protests. 38-year-old Taraneh Alidoosti was arrested on December 17th after she expressed solidarity with a man executed over the ongoing protests. Iranian media reported that Alidoosti had been granted bail and was released on Wednesday. Among the pictures posted of her release, one shows that the actor holding a bouquet of flowers with her headscarf off. The actor, who starred in the Oscar-nominated film The Salesman, is among the several influential Iranian figures who have criticized Tehran's brutal crackdown on dissent. She had last posted 3 messages in support of the uprising before her account was taken down. The messages include support for 23-year-old Mohsen Shekari, who was the first person to be executed by authorities over the protests, and slogans in support of the movement, including removing her headscarf and condemning the execution of protesters. Her detention prompted massive outcry in Iran's film industry and amplified concerns over the crackdown. The protests that began last September over the death of Mahsa Amini have become one of the biggest challenges to Tehran since it was established after the 1979 revolution. Activists say at least a dozen people have been sentenced to death in closed-door hearings over charges linked to these protests. Rights groups, however, say that at least 500 protesters have been killed and some 20,000 arrested over similar charges since the beginning of the uprising. Mexico's defense ministry has said that it has sent around 200 military personnel to the northern border city of Juarez in order to fight organized crime. This comes just days after a deadly prison riot led to the manhunt for escaped inmates. Our next report tells you more.
Mexico has flown 200 military personnel to the U.S. border city of Ciudad Juarez to fight organized crime there, days after a deadly prison riot and while a manhunt is underway for escaped convicts. That's according to the Defense Ministry on Tuesday. That's hours after the director of the prison, which saw guards and prisoners killed in a riot and breakout on New Year's Day, was fired. Chihuahua state prosecutors said Tuesday Alejandro Alvarado was not only dismissed, but he and others are under investigation for a possible role in the jailbreak. 19 people died on Sunday after gunmen attacked the prison a few miles south of the U.S. border. They killed guards and inmates and triggered a mass escape that included cartel kingpin Ernesto Alfredo Pinon de la Cruz, also known as El Neto. After federal authorities arrived to restore order, they found a so-called VIP zone in the prison full of drugs and cash. On Tuesday, families of inmates lined up, hoping to speak with authorities.
Vengo a preguntar por mi sobrino.
I came here to ask for my nephew. Nobody has informed us about them so far. We don't know how they are, anything. We are worried. We want to know about our relatives, get them to talk to us about them, where they are, if they're good. We just want to know if they're okay or what's happening.
Está bien, nomás queremos saber si está bien o ¿verdad? ¿Qué está pasando?
On Monday night, the Chihuahua state government said 7 people had died during subsequent police clashes as part of a hunt to find the escaped inmates. 2 of the dead were police. Sunday's events mark one of the highest death tolls from prison violence in Mexico in recent memory.
Flood-hit California has been lashed with yet another bomb cyclone. Authorities have now warned that there is a threat to life and property for parts of the most populous state in the United States. The warnings are focused around San Francisco and Sacramento Valley. Forecasters have said that the heavy winds, up to 110 kilometers an hour, and intense rain will continue until Thursday. Look at these visuals from Daly City, California. At one point, the roof of a gas station collapsed after a powerful storm swept through the state. Nearly 200,000 homes and businesses in California were without power. Now, authorities warn there's even a possibility of widespread flooding, roads washing out, hillsides collapsing, and the worst of all, likely loss of human life. The state of emergency has been declared in the state to support response and recovery efforts, and San Francisco has also established an emergency operations center.
So fortunately, this home is elevated a few steps above the ground level, so we don't think we're going to get any water into the primary residence, but the garage and underneath the house, we're probably going to have some water creeping in. We are, according to the county, we are in a flood zone here. They say we're going to get hit, so it's just a matter of time.
Well, it's just stressful, like last night was hard to sleep because we were like expecting, to evacuate immediately. But unfortunately, still it's not too bad.
Many parts of California have been hit by ongoing storms since last month. On New Year's Eve, a powerful storm brought landslides and power outages, and one person reportedly died after being trapped in a submerged car. The latest warning comes as the storm has rapidly intensified into a bomb cyclone. Officials have asked the residents to take the storm seriously and take all the necessary precautions. Back here in New York, the UN Security Council will be holding a meeting to discuss the controversial visit to Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound by Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir, which has drawn widespread condemnation from the Muslim world amid criticism by the West. A coalition of Arab nations spoke out against Israel at the United Nations ahead of an emergency meeting of the Security Council to discuss Israeli-Palestinian relations. The session will discuss the Israeli minister's visit. The emergency meeting was formally requested by the United Arab Emirates and China on behalf of the Palestinian and Jordanian UN missions.
We want this behavior not to be repeated in Al-Aqsa Mosque and in Haram Sharif, and we want a guarantee of honoring and respecting the historic status quo in deeds, not only in words. This is the message that you see. As they say, a picture speaks much louder than 1,000 words.
Ben-Gvir, leader of the far-right Otzma Yehudit party, toward the compound Tuesday morning. Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam and the most sacred place to Jews who refer to it as the Temple Mount. Under the current status quo, non-Muslims can visit the site at specific times, but are not allowed to pray there. Turkey is the latest to join a list of nations condemning Ben-Gvir's visit. The Turkish foreign minister called it, quote, a provocative action that was, quote, unacceptable. Jordan, too, has condemned the move.
And there has to be a firm stand by the international community against this, because it will happen again. And once it will happen again, a new cycle of violence will ensue.
A federal U.S. court sentenced former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to nearly 6 years in jail. The sentence was announced for conspiracy to commit money laundering. In October, Murillo pleaded guilty that he received at least $532,000 in bribes from a Florida-based company. The bribe was given in exchange for helping the company secure a lucrative tear gas contract with Bolivia's defense ministry. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, he laundered money through the U.S. financial system. In June, another former Bolivian official and 3 American citizens pleaded guilty. Murillo fled after President Evo Morales' party retook power back in 2020 and was arrested in Florida in May 2021. Bolivia's government has requested Murillo's extradition to Bolivia, where he faces a host of criminal charges. U.S. social media giant Meta has been hit with $414 million worth of fines for breaching European Union personal data laws. The company has been asked to bring its data processing operations into compliance within 3 months. The Irish Data Protection Commission, while announcing the fines in a statement, said that Meta breached its obligations in relation to transparency. The regulator said the company needs to assess the legal basis on how Facebook and Instagram use personal data to target advertising in the European Union. The watchdog has fined the company 210 million euros in relation to Facebook and an additional 180 million euros in relation to Instagram for violating Europe's landmark General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. GDPR is the toughest privacy and security law in the world and was adopted by EU in 2018. The total fines levied against Meta to date by the Irish regulator under the law now totals to 1.3 billion euros. Meta currently has 11 other inquiries open into its services. The announcement of recent penalties comes a month after Europe's data regulator, the European Data Protection Supervisor, imposed binding decisions over the treatment of personal data by the group. One of those rulings also concerned Meta's instant messaging app, WhatsApp, with the regulator based in Ireland due to announce a separate verdict next week. Drama in the world of sports. The Greg Burhalter blackmail saga has taken a sensational turn. The mother of the American international Giovanni Reyna has revealed that her role in reporting the then USA head coach to USA Soccer over a domestic violence incident 30 years ago has been revealed. Danielle Reyna has known Greg and his wife for years. She now claims that she made U.S. Soccer aware of a physical fight between the two 3 decades ago. Burhalter is currently being investigated by the governing body of American soccer and admitted to the incident in a joint statement with his wife on Tuesday. But this is where things get intriguing. Danielle Reina decided to take matters into her own hands after a bust-up between her son and the head coach during the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The U.S. MNT were eliminated by the Netherlands in the round of 16 after returning from Qatar. Burhalter told a conference that a player on the team, quote-unquote, clearly did not meet expectations on and off the field. It was clear that the reference was to the Borussia Dortmund player, who confirmed the same in an Instagram post the following day after the conference. Reina did not start a match for the United States under the Burhalter Saga during the World Cup in Qatar. Danielle said in a statement on Wednesday, and I quote, "I thought it was especially unfair that Gio, who had apologized for acting immaturely about his playing time, was still being dragged through the mud when Greg had asked for and received forgiveness for doing something so much worse at the same age," end of quote. U.S. Soccer has confirmed that the national team's assistant coach, Anthony Hudson, would serve as interim head coach for the upcoming January camp. Burhalter's contract ended with the World Cup, but he fully cooperated with the investigation. Tech companies are showcasing new innovations at CES 2023. Some of them could even change the way we live, travel, and work. Not to our surprise, artificial intelligence turns out to be a big trend at the world's biggest technology show. Michigan-based Bird Buddy has created a smart AI-powered bird feeder. It captured photos of feathered friends as they fly in to eat some treats and notifies the owner. The company says the device is equipped with artificial intelligence, allowing it to recognize over 1,000 bird species. The product has already sparked some interest from consumers who want to show the world what birds are coming to their backyards. The price for the basic feeder is $199. Japan-based Luvich has created a device designed to solve the challenges of those who have difficulty navigating while they walk. The device is worn around the neck. The connected device uses sound and vibration to guide the wearer along the way. Even though a trash bin could be equipped with smart technologies, well, this one is different, and it's happening in a different way. A Netherlands-based company has created a smart AI-powered bin that helps restaurants limit their food waste. Before chefs throw food waste in the bin, the smart device takes a quick picture and then uses an algorithm to recognize ingredients and register food waste. A Japanese firm has created a smart iPhone app to help golfers improve their putting swings. The app uses analysis technology to measure flying distance, ball speed, launch angle, and club speed in real time. Mobility tech is also going big at this year's CES with new electric vehicles and self-driving technology. French startup Rollers is taking a more personal approach with these electric roller skates, which can increase your walking speed. Now, the new technologies appear to be promising. CES 2023 opens to the public in Las Vegas on January 5th. Around 100,000 visitors are expected to attend this year's Las Vegas gathering, but that's a 41% dip in attendance compared to the in-person show held in early 2020, before the pandemic consumed much of everyday life. That's all the time we have from this news desk, live from New York City. I'm Susan Tehrani. Thank you so much for staying with us and watching. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Meanwhile, don't go away. There is plenty more news and headlines coming up next on WION World is World.
This is right, Arab.